I told him that, and it wasn't just a wrestling promo on SmackDown. Just so you guys know, are you clearly prepared to go where we're going to go when you start booing me? Because we'll have a fun ride, don't get me wrong. But, you know, you can't expect the rock that you're going to get. I mean, it's going to be, now everything is just going to be taken to a different level that you're not used to. And having a good time while doing it.
Rock's music hit seconds after SmackDown went on the air, bumping up the Conseco Fieldhouse to a massive reaction in his first televised appearance on WWE programming since the SummerSlam pay-per-view in August, kicking off his 2003 run said to be unlike anything seen before in his career, with him first coming back to sample the crowd reaction after initially setting the stage for the turn right after SummerSlam went off the air, followed by the two subtle heel promos in the past month. And with Rock after hyping his comeback a few months back, saying that he's got some ideas for the direction of his next run while on the set of the Rundown movie, returning extra motivated both to counter any backlash of him moving on to Hollywood, with receipts for the small part of the inside fan base resenting his new career, and mostly to prove a point and remind the wide audience why he's the greatest performer the industry has ever seen. After the massive initial babyface reaction from the Indianapolis crowd starting to gradually set the stage for the turn throughout the promo by taking constant subtle shots while playing off the Hollywood perception to also bring up some legit feelings, responding to the talk of him selling out by leaving the industry, acknowledging the reaction, saying that it seems like some of them want to see a different side of him not seen in years, leading to Rock going as far as possible without mentioning the clear terminology by asking the crowd if they understand the ramifications of booing him to officially turn up the heel volume on Hogan and the crowd, with the Rock heel turn promo opening SmackDown huge with over 5.8 million viewers and one of the biggest first quarter viewerships in the past year, while in one of the only times in show history breaking the traditional viewing pattern of the opening quarter being the low point of the broadcast, with the massive viewership for the segment besides the numbers on the national basis seeing all major markets opening with a boosted audience to change all the regular patterns for the rest of the night, ending the masterclass in crowd work with Rock after hyping his confrontation with Hogan coming up in the next hour in a 1999 throwback, putting the final stamp on the turn, telling the crowd that they made their decision and sing along with the Rock is over. With the heavily hyped SmackDown on the night built on Rock's return and scheduled confrontation with Hogan along with the promoted first Angle vs Lesnar match, the show internally ended up significant for another less publicized reason, with Vince McMahon officially removing Paul Heyman from the head writer position of the brand during the week, with Heyman after benefiting from the brand extension concept with him and Brian Gowertz since the summer of 2002 placed as head writers to give different identities to the two brands, with Heyman's SmackDown with the benefit of airing on network television having a significant viewership lead, including a strong string of numbers in September to November built on longer TV matches for the SmackDown 6 combinations and Lesnar's feuds with Big Show and Taker, reportedly becoming increasingly more difficult to work with, in addition to his TV formula noticeably cooling off, to see McMahon putting Heyman's assistant Dave Lagana in charge of script writing along with longtime producer Bruce Pritchard as part of the new regime, with Heyman in addition to his on-screen role set to remain as a creative consultant for both brands, with Vince McMahon himself set to be more involved with more focus on the SmackDown brand than perhaps at any point since the brand split started last April, due to him scheduled to work the headline program on the show against Hogan heading into WrestleMania over the next month, and with the official announcement from McMahon on the creative change set to take place Sunday when both rosters gather at the Bell Center in Montreal for the first pay-per-view from the city since Survivor Series 97. In a coincidental timing heading into the show saw Bret Hart making his first major televised appearance since his medical issues last year in a special two-part 60-minute interview on the Canadian Off the Record talk show, talking about his recovery from the stroke and getting a phone call from Vince McMahon days after it happened as the first step towards closure from the Montreal incident. reacting to the passing of Curt Hennig, saying that he was probably the favorite opponent and one of his best friends in the business, while crediting him for helping elevating him to the main event during their series of matches in the early 90s, while in contrast burying Triple H as a dishonest weasel who was never a team player, in addition to questioning the legitimacy of Shawn Michaels' new public personality, with Bret putting over Austin and Rock big ahead of their in-ring comebacks on Sunday, saying that Austin was one of the top opponents of his career and they always had a good relationship, while telling a story about the first time watching Rock in the ring in 1996, telling everybody at the time that Rock is the next franchise player that will take his spot as the top guy in the industry, and with Bret, despite a different tone towards McMahon, still not opening the door for a potential comeback. When asked about a scenario of a return match, mentioning Benoit and Angle in the ring, while for the first time noting that Hart vs. McMahon will be the biggest box office draw, with SmackDown After also featuring the first televised interview from Nathan Jones opening the second hour, with Taker's latest surprise reveal ending with Big Show finally showing up after nearly a month out with back injury, laying him out and leaving the building in the final build to the Taker vs. Show pay-per-view match built since the injury angle with Show's debut on the brand last October. Following the same formatting of their segments in the past 3 weeks, Hulk Hogan made his entrance in the 9:15 p.m. quarter, with the hyped confrontation set to go in the show's usual downtime instead of one of the top time slots in the closing quarters of each hour, bringing out Rock immediately following Hogan's entrance for the final selling confrontation to the Icon vs. Icon rematch of what went down as arguably the greatest match the industry has ever seen last year at WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, setting up for a unique atmosphere this Sunday in front of the expected hot crowd in Montreal, with the roles reversed, with Rock going into it as the clear heel, seeing Rock backing down of the remake of the iconic stare-downs of last year to continue establishing the new character, with Rock directing the crowd reaction throughout, telling Hogan that he came out to clear the air after some disrespectful things were said and done, to set up the punchline of him asking Hogan to apologize to The Rock, as he did in the opening promo, asking the crowd if they're sure they want him to turn, bringing up the legit background surrounding last year's WrestleMania, telling Hogan that he revived his career and single-handedly gave him another all-time drawing run by challenging him to the dream match after it looked like Hogan's days at the top of the business were long in the past, with the then last image of him in the spotlight being the publicized WCW dispute and lawsuit against Vince Russo at Bash at the Beach in 2000. Seeing the 13-minute Rock Hogan segment again breaking the usual viewing pattern to not only offset the now almost weekly second-hour viewership slide but gain big between 9:15 to 9:30 to peak the night with over 6.2 million viewers, ending up with Rock after taking over the segment and the entire SmackDown show in general on his first night back, establishing the new Hollywood heel character, further healing it up to close the confrontation by swerving Hogan for a handshake and a major heat angle, building up the rematch on Sunday. With No Way Out targeted to be one of the biggest pay-per-views in company history, with heavier promotion for the show on a level of the traditionally Big Four pay-per-views, the company sent out a press release during the week building the event as both the biggest rematch and most anticipated return in pay-per-view history, with the once-in-a-lifetime situation of the three biggest stars in the history of the industry all returning to the ring after lengthy absences on the same night, looking to start the road to WrestleMania 19 with strong momentum for the follow-up of the second and most likely last ever Rock vs. Hogan match, along with Austin's return to the Raw brand, coming after saving the rematch for a major event for almost a year, with last July in the same building of SmackDown Tonight in Indianapolis reportedly seeing Rock turning down a creative suggestion to put the Hogan-Rock match on free television with only 2 hours notice, with SmackDown's main event after a week of hype building up the first ever Lesnar vs. Angle match and a preview of the expected WrestleMania 19 title match, with questions on if the company would actually deliver it on television after saving their first clash for almost a year. seeing angles out for the match being putting Lesnar through a team angle gauntlet with Lesnar needing to go through both Haas and Benjamin to get to Kurt in a similar angle to the recent SmackDown house show main events, kicking off with Lesnar vs Haas going 3 minutes before the last commercial break with the first televised singles match of Lesnar and Benjamin opening the final quarter, seeing SmackDown driven by the strong start for Rock's opening promo followed by the peak for the Hogan confrontation an hour later rebounding from last Thursday to 5.4 million viewers despite the show being preempted for one of its biggest audiences in Dallas along with several other minor markets, and with Lesnar going over Benjamin at 9:57 p.m. with just 3 minutes left in the show to finally deliver the advertised Lesnar vs Angle match. The company got out of it by sending out Haas and Benjamin followed by Benoit and Edge who during the week after being taken off for the second straight house show tour got the results of his medical tests with the worst possible scenario to put not only his status for the match in question but his career in general going forward, for the quick DQ finish and post-match brawl with the booking most likely said to be the same in the 6-man tag match on Sunday outside the preview exchanges between them to build anticipation with a gradual build for the match over a month to WrestleMania on March 30th.
The most anticipated rematch in pay-per-view history.
The Rock, the great one, the people's champ.
Hulk Hogan is back, Jack. Rock Hogan 2. No Way Out. Live in 3 days